people describe this moment in time that we can sense that something's shifting and changing, but don't really know the full shape of it, as heading into another industrial revolution, maybe the fourth industrial revolution. And I push back on that because I think there's something much more profound happening here. I've gone back and I've studied the various, first, second, and third revolutions, and they were really extraordinary moments in time in which technology advanced some level of how we were able to do what we do, which then transformed the way we work, and then as a result transformed where we live and how we live, and had huge cultural impacts. And these were very, very profound changes. But I think that where we are now is actually something that's even more transformative. I offer that maybe the way that we can think about this is not another fourth industrial revolution, but what if we called it the exponential productivity transformation, right? Imagine what that opens up as we start to imagine, again, the impact that it will have on our lives, and how bold and how beyond the various horizons we can imagine this having impact. So you start to think, okay, well, there's many, many positive benefits to that. Right? We will be able to ramp up our understanding of disease in the body and potentially eliminate tens of thousands of diseases. We will be able to potentially create renewable energy in a way in which it's accessible to everyone. We could potentially, manufacture things in much faster ways, and hopefully, again, make that more accessible to people, whether that's food or housing or any other good or need that we want. So when you sort of imagine education, right, can become digital and distributed to everyone. These are the things that we get excited about when we talk about exponential productivity. However, it can also go very dark, right? The same forces can also be used to make things much more difficult for us if we don't intentionally think about how do we use these technologies in ways that address, ecological and environmental imbalance, instability, which is what we're facing right now, right? If we don't think about how we ensure that they are equitable and distributed with justice, and ensure that everyone, again, has access to both the design and the product of those things. If we don't think about our overall well-being, not just physical and emotional, but just as a planet, how do we ensure that we've got the right scaffolding and the right support for people that are navigating through this big, huge transformation? And how do we ensure that we're building it in a way that the youth who are inheriting this future of ours feel as though they're part of the design, right? They're not excluded from the conversation, feel like this is something they have to go and manage based on our choices, but they feel like they're included into those things. Those are the invitations when we think about this is woven together. ChatGPT in only 5 days reached 1 million people. We can have meat that's available to everyone that doesn't have the sacrifices of animals or all the waste environmentally around that. I know it's scary for people who are in that world, but even if we kept, the animals that were here, and I just want to make sure that the rest of the billions of people on the planet who don't have access to this now had access to that. That's a huge opening for them, right? So you imagine that kind of thing keeps happening over and over again in different forms, genomes. Right? We weren't able to decode our own particular genome. We had that massive breakthrough. Again, it cost significant amounts of money, and now it's down to $1,000 to be able to do our own genome, and it's predicted it'll be under $100 in the next couple of years. These are the things. The rate of change is just so fast, and part of it's the amount of data that we're putting together. There's a stat that says that there'll be 181 zettabytes of data created in the next few years. And someone dimensionalized that by saying it's 181 Pacific Oceans filled with grains of rice. That's how much data we have to work with, right? So the question again, how do we make sense of all that? And then what are we designing it for? Great, we're gonna throw up a whole bunch of data. We'll have a lot of, algorithms that will help us make sense of it, but to what end? What are we designing for? And what are the outcomes that we would like to ensure that we deliver as a result of this, right? It's a systemic way of looking at this exponential productivity moment, again, a moment of transformation, an invitation to redesign, reimagine, reshape, rethink. And with that comes, we have to really reconceptualize what it means to monetize these things, how we're educated around these things, again, how we distribute these things, right? Very, very big structural formats that we've had in the past may not be holding up. I would argue, again, the things that kept us not just safe, but that we designed for in the industrial era, and now all the things that we need to rethink as we head into this exponential productivity moment of transformation. And that's why I think this moment is so important. It's a moment of decision of which way we want our future to look.